So the essential tools required to do this job, obviously Excel, that's where it all starts, that's where the modeling is. But you have to get really good at macros, pivot tables, offset tables. Remember those, I talked about a base case, an upside case, downside case. There'll be like 20 permutations of that, all conditionally formatted based on different pipeline, possibly converting or different customers. You never know, especially in a services business, which is dictated by statements of work or master service agreements, just how specifically that will translate to revenue. Maybe the project starts later than what was the intended kickoff date. Maybe it starts sooner. Maybe there's more scope that you can change order for. But when you're trying to figure out 15 months or so, or even a year in advance, where they'll be next year, or 2 years from now, or 3 years from now, it's a little bit of a guessing game. And so essentially, you have to show what your assumptions are, what you are tying those guesses to, and ultimately why it's a defensible model, especially when we start talking about things like earnout or equity roll. You'll also need to get really good at Bloomberg. You'll be using one or the other of CapIQ or FactSet, possibly PitchBook Pro, possibly DealCloud. These are all things that help you do things like spread comps, map out competitors, and really just position your company relative to not just the buyer universe, but the competitive peer set that you're ultimately positioning against. And so PowerPoint, as an analyst, you won't be using a lot of PowerPoint, but as an associate, you'll pretty much live in PowerPoint plus Excel. And so it's not just like, can I put together a slide deck? It's got to be like graphically appealing, letter perfect, all that kind of stuff. You will have a printer. The printer will make all the graphics. Like, I didn't do any of this stuff. I have a whole department that did this kind of stuff. It's been a long time since I've gotten my hands super dirty in PowerPoint beyond just kind of a first draft of thoughts and bullet points. But that's all the kind of stuff that as an associate, you'll be living in kind of daily. And so in addition to, of course, checking the financial models and all of that. So the soft skills, again, you've got to maintain a certain kind of decorum. You don't want your clients coming in there and saying, who's the sloppy person? Don't be that person. You've got to be up on everything. You want to be the person that essentially when it's crunch time and there's a point where the project can either zig or zag, they're wondering, do we zig this way or zag that way? That if you're the associate on the team and the analysts are looking your way, and remember I said there's usually a couple of associates in every team, you want to be the one whose head they're turning towards, not the other one. And there's always the one and the other, so be the one. Communications, communications, ideally your VP is going to hate you if they have to clean up all your mess. So when it comes to bonus time, and we'll get to that in a minute, the less work the person above you has to perform, in other words, the more self-sufficient you are, the better that will bode for you at bonus time. That's why you're working these crazy weeks, because at the end of the day, your bonus is at least as large as your salary if you perform. And so the reason you'll work like an elephant is because you don't want the VP to say, nah, never mind, you take it easy, I'm better off doing it myself. If that's the case, you'll get a low band bonus, and if you get a low band bonus, you'll wonder why they stay up all those hours. And the VP will be wondering the same thing, why did this person stay up all those hours only to give me a low quality deliverable? And so what you're shooting for is something that is so good and so letter perfect that the VP just looks at that and says, I can't do any better than that, I'm passing it up to my MD. Time management, so you've got to get really good. So think in Excel, if you're using a mouse that's unbelievably slow to go like this, learn your shortcut keys, and the best time to do it is now in college. The shortcut keys will allow you to fly around, and you could finish a model in a third of the time with the shortcut keys you could with the mouse. And so when you have little to no sleep in your day, every time-saving tip that you can do is something that will just be translated in terms of more sleep, will make you more rested, and frankly, it'll just make you more effective because you'll just have a fresher brain than the guy who doesn't, or the girl who doesn't do all that. And so teamwork is essential. If you can trust your teammate, you'll be able to break the work up. If you don't trust your teammate, and everybody knows pretty quickly who you can trust and who you can't, and you end up having to do all the work. Everybody knows who kind of the softie is and who the performer is. And so I can't stress enough, especially if you're going to be going into banking, you may as well just do it right, or otherwise you're just going to spend a lot of hours spinning your wheels for little to no result. So teamwork is important, and being able to rely on your teammate is important, but most importantly, the question is, I'd be asking myself, and I did ask myself when I was a junior, if I were relying on me, would I be the kind of person that, would this be the kind of work that I'd want delivered? And so if something didn't pass muster, like if, down to like how many spaces are between words, or where the thing is on a page, it really is that level of detail. And so if you just think you'll slap something on a page and not worry about how it looks, just think the client's going to see that, say, wow, they kind of slapped through this and it doesn't look like they really care about the presentation. So when it comes down to something important, like trying to get the last dollar of working capital back into my pocket, will they care about that? Probably not. And so that little thing will stick in their mind, and it starts with the presentations. And so detail is unbelievably important in sell-side banking.